Caitlyn Clark, remember that girl, that superstar playing for Iowa that ended up going to the Final Four? She's got one of the hottest selling jerseys in sports, y'all, according to Fanatics, led by the one and only Michael Rubin. The deal is the richest sponsorship
Caitlyn Clark, the college basketball superstar who took the NCAA by storm, has dominated headlines again. But this time, it's not just for her skills on the court. Most fans remember her as the sharpshooting Iowa Hawkeye who led her team to the Final Four and shattered multiple NCAA scoring records in the process. Since then, she's become one of the biggest names in women's basketball, with her influence extending far beyond the hardwood. Her jersey is currently one of the hottest-selling items in sports, and her endorsement deals are stacking up faster than anyone could have predicted. But the biggest news?
A top WNBA pick, Caitlyn Clark, her first pro game 10 days away, but even before she makes her pro debut, she has a major Nike deal on the line.
Clark just secured a massive sponsorship contract with Nike. You probably heard the headline before. Caitlyn Clark signed a $28 million deal with Nike, making her the highest-paid female basketball player in terms of endorsements. The deal is groundbreaking for both Clark and women's basketball. It's not only a reflection of Clark's individual star power, but also a clear sign that women's sports, especially basketball, are on the rise in terms of popularity, visibility, and market value. This contract sets a new standard for what female athletes can achieve, both on and off the court. But while $28 million sounds incredible, there's something noticeably missing from this deal: Clark's signature shoe.
It's pretty cool. It's got I feel like it's fever, but it's also Iowa, so you get the best of both worlds. I have another one that you'll probably see me wear later on that is, honestly, I didn't design these ones. I just said, yes, I love them, please give them to me. So they do their job, they do it really well, so they're pretty cool.
With all the hype surrounding her, you'd expect to see a Caitlyn Clark sneaker flying off the shelves by now. Yet there's no sign of a Clark shoe, and that absence has sparked quite the controversy in the sports world. Before we dive into the details of what's going on behind the scenes and why this has become a major talking point, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch our videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but helps us a lot. Thanks for supporting the channel. Now let's break down the real drama behind Caitlyn Clark's missing signature shoe and why it has become such a hot-button issue. So why hasn't Caitlyn Clark's signature shoe been released yet? With a $28 million deal in hand and an unprecedented level of attention from the media and fans alike, you'd think Nike would be rushing to get her shoes on the market.
The Caitlyn Clark effect continues. The popularity surrounding the superstar.
Fans just can't get enough. Whether it's basketballs or shirts,
about like jerseys.
Fans are looking for anything Clark and Indiana Fever related.
After all, her jersey sold out in record time, and her marketability seems to have no limits. But behind the scenes, there's a much bigger and more complicated story unfolding. Clark's delayed shoe release isn't just a matter of logistics. It's part of a high-stakes battle over how Nike and the broader sports marketing world should handle her rising star power. In fact, Caitlyn Clark is just one player in a much larger game, a game that includes some of the biggest names in women's basketball, including A'ja Wilson, the current WNBA MVP and one of the most dominant players in the league. Wilson has been a force to be reckoned with since entering the WNBA, leading the Las Vegas Aces to multiple playoff runs and cementing herself as one of the sport's all-time greats. Yet despite her achievements, Wilson has never been granted her own signature shoe. That's right, one of the most decorated players in the history of the WNBA is still waiting for the honor of having her own sneaker line. And therein lies the dilemma.
Nike has been reluctant to take advantage of Caitlyn Clark because they have. And what I've always thought was like, man, that contract she signed seemed pretty reasonable.
Nike now faces a major decision. Should they launch Caitlyn Clark's signature shoe first, capitalizing on her massive popularity, or should they prioritize A'ja Wilson, who has already earned her place as one of the league's biggest stars? It's a tough call because it's not just about sales or marketability. It's about maintaining balance, respecting legacy, and managing athlete relations. Launching Clark's shoe before Wilson's could be seen as a snub to the WNBA MVP and might cause internal friction within Nike's family of athletes. This isn't just speculation either. Sources close to the situation have revealed that Nike has been grappling with this decision for months. According to an insider, Nike's entire approach to athlete endorsements has shifted in recent years. The brand, once known for its bold, aggressive marketing moves, has taken a much more cautious approach lately. Some call it strategic, others think it's overthinking. But either way, Nike has been treading carefully, trying to avoid stepping on anyone's toes, both literally and figuratively. Nike's dilemma: Caitlyn Clark versus ncaaw Wilson. The root of Nike's dilemma lies in the status and popularity of both Caitlyn Clark and ncaaw Wilson. On one hand, Caitlyn Clark's star has risen faster than anyone could have predicted. From breaking scoring records in the NCAA to captivating audiences with her on-court leadership, Clark's marketability is undeniable. She's become a sensation in the sports world, with fans flocking to buy anything with her name on it. She's young, she's talented, and she's relatable. She represents the next generation of women's basketball stars, and her presence has helped the WNBA attract new audiences. On the other hand, you have ncaaw Wilson, who has already proven herself to be one of the WNBA's most consistent and dominant players. Wilson's resume speaks for itself. Two-time MVP, WNBA champion, Olympic gold medalist. She has paid her dues, earned her accolades, and become one of the most recognizable faces in the league. In many ways, Wilson should have been first in line for a signature shoe long ago. So why hasn't it happened yet? Some argue that Nike has been slow to respond to the evolving landscape of women's sports, especially when it comes to signature shoe deals. While the brand has been a pioneer in supporting female athletes, signature shoes are still a rarity in women's sports. Currently, only 5 WNBA players have signature shoes. 5. That's fewer than the starting lineup of a single team. Now, with Caitlyn Clark's rise to superstardom, Nike has to decide whether to take advantage of her popularity immediately or give Wilson the recognition she deserves first. It's not just about choosing one athlete over another. It's about how Nike wants to position itself as a brand moving forward. Do they prioritize emerging talent or reward established excellence? There's no question that Nike is being extremely cautious about how they handle this situation, but some critics argue that the brand is playing it too safe. In the past, Nike's marketing campaigns were known for their boldness. Think of their iconic "Just Do It" slogan, simple, powerful, and direct. But in recent years, their approach has shifted, especially when it comes to launching signature shoes for female athletes. They've become more deliberate, more measured, and more focused on managing perceptions. While caution can be a good thing in certain contexts, it can also stifle creativity and risk-taking. If Nike waits too long to launch Clark's shoe, they could miss out on a massive opportunity to tap into her popularity while it's still at its peak. This isn't just about releasing a product, it's about sending a message. A Caitlyn Clark signature shoe could be a watershed moment for women's basketball, and it has the potential to set new standards for how brands approach the marketing of female athletes. But the consequences of getting this wrong could be disastrous. If Nike mishandles the situation, it could lead to a PR nightmare. Fans of both Clark and Wilson are watching closely, and there's a growing sense that any misstep could spark backlash. Wilson's supporters are already vocal about the fact that she doesn't have a signature shoe, and if Clark's shoe comes out first, it could feel like a slap in the face to one of the WNBA's most iconic players. It's a delicate balancing act, and Nike is walking a tightrope between seizing the moment and respecting the legacies of its established stars. The ramifications of recent decisions surrounding athlete endorsements and marketing extend far beyond the individual journeys of stars like Caitlyn Clark and ncaaw Wilson. What's truly at stake is the transformative potential for women's sports marketing as a whole. If Nike and other major brands can navigate this pivotal moment successfully, they could establish a new paradigm for how female athletes are supported, celebrated, and marketed. The successful launch of signature shoes for athletes like Clark or Wilson could pave the way for a wider range of endorsement deals within the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, finally providing female athletes with the recognition and opportunities they have long been denied. In 2024, it is astonishing that we still find ourselves discussing the absence of signature shoes for women in professional basketball. Male athletes in the NBA have reaped the rewards of lucrative endorsement deals and signature footwear for decades. Icons such as Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Durant have not only enjoyed financial success, but have also built extensive brands and legacies tied to their shoes. These sneaker deals have transcended the court, becoming cultural symbols that resonate with fans globally. The question arises, why hasn't a similar movement taken root in women's sports? A significant part of the answer lies in the historical underrepresentation of women's sports in mainstream media and commercial markets. Female athletes have faced a long-standing struggle for equality, fighting for the same visibility, sponsorship, and endorsement opportunities that have been readily available to their male counterparts. This disparity is not merely anecdotal. It reflects a systemic issue that has persisted for years, undermining the potential of female sports as a viable market. Although strides have been made towards equity in recent years, the journey is far from complete. The delay in Caitlyn Clark's shoe release serves as a poignant reminder of the continuing disparities between how women's and men's sports are treated. Moreover, the marketing strategies employed by major brands often reflect societal attitudes towards women in sports. When male athletes dominate the narrative, it becomes easier for brands to justify investing in their stories, thereby creating a feedback loop that further sidelines female athletes. The cultural narrative around women's sports needs a radical shift. By promoting female athletes like Clark and Wilson, brands can challenge stereotypes and redefine what it means to be a sports icon. The potential impact of a successful marketing campaign around women's shoes could lead to a rethinking of how sports endorsements are structured. It could encourage other brands to follow suit, leading to a burgeoning market for women's athletic wear and a broader array of sponsorship opportunities. This change is crucial not only for the athletes themselves, but for the next generation of female athletes who aspire to reach similar heights. By investing in women's sports marketing, companies can foster an environment where female athletes are celebrated as much as their male counterparts, driving a cultural shift that could benefit everyone. Ultimately, the stakes are high. The future of women's sports marketing hinges on the decisions made today. If brands can harness the power of female athletes and create meaningful partnerships, we may witness a groundbreaking era in sports marketing, one where women's achievements are recognized, valued, and celebrated in their own right. Representation matters. One of the most significant issues raised by Caitlyn Clark's massive endorsement deal is the question of representation in the WNBA. So far, the few players who have their own signature shoes are all white, while the majority of WNBA players are black. This disparity is raising questions about why certain athletes are prioritized over others, and what factors are being considered when brands like Nike decide who gets a signature shoe. ncaaw Wilson is the perfect example of this tension. As a two-time MVP, WNBA champion, and one of the league's most marketable players, Wilson has accomplished more than enough to warrant her own signature shoe. In fact, her coach, Becky Hammon, has publicly stated that Wilson deserves her own line, adding fuel to the fire of this debate. To many, it feels like Wilson's hard work and dominance are being overlooked in favor of newer, more marketable stars like Clark. This isn't just about fairness. It's about the message that these decisions send to the next generation of athletes. If Caitlyn Clark, a rookie who hasn't even played a WNBA game yet, gets a signature shoe before ncaaw Wilson, what does that say to young players who dream of reaching the pinnacle of women's basketball? It could perpetuate the idea that marketability and popularity matter more than achievements and contributions to the sport. At the same time, there's no denying that Caitlyn Clark's star power is off the charts. Her jersey sold out almost instantly, and her fans are clamoring for more merchandise. But should her marketability trump Wilson's years of hard work and accomplishments? That's the question Nike has to answer. This debate isn't just about shoes or contracts. It's about the broader cultural impact of women's sports and how athletes are valued, marketed, and represented. Women athletes, particularly in the WNBA, have long been some of the most socially conscious and vocal advocates for change, both within the sports industry and in society at large. From speaking out on social justice issues, such as Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ+ rights, to advocating for gender pay equity and better working conditions, WNBA players have consistently led the charge in important conversations, often with little of the recognition their male counterparts receive. Nike's decision about whether to give Caitlyn Clark her signature shoe first or to prioritize ncaaw Wilson has the potential to spark a critical and overdue conversation about representation in sports marketing, particularly the representation of Black women. Historically, Black women athletes have often been overlooked or underrepresented in major endorsement deals. The power dynamics at play in these kinds of decisions can sometimes favor newer, more marketable faces like Clark over established stars like Wilson, who have been contributing to their sport for years. This issue taps into a broader question about what society values in athletes. Is it purely about marketability and star power, or is it also about sustained excellence and contribution to the sport?
Yes, it's great to be here, and it's so important to have household names and build rivalries and have games of consequence. That's what March Madness had. That's what this draft class was amazing the other night, Monday night. Over 3 million people watched that draft at peak with huge social media followings. They have huge endorsements already coming in. They're getting more endorsements now that they've declared pro, but this whole draft class was amazing with Caitlyn.
If Nike chooses to release Clark's shoe first, it could prompt scrutiny over why black women, despite their dominance in the WNBA and other sports, continue to face hurdles in securing high-profile, lucrative endorsements. It could shine a light on the imbalance in how endorsement deals are distributed and who gets to be the face of women's sports. This could lead to a much-needed discussion about equity and fairness in sports marketing. On the other hand, if Nike delays Clark's shoe in favor of giving Wilson her long-overdue signature line, it could be seen as a move toward correcting these imbalances. It would signal that brands like Nike are taking steps to recognize the contributions of black women athletes and giving them the recognition they deserve. However, this debate goes beyond race or popularity. It's about fairness and the future of how female athletes are marketed and valued. The decision Nike makes here could have far-reaching consequences for the next generation of athletes, shaping how women's sports are perceived and represented in the years to come. Will Caitlyn Clark's shoe live up to the hype? So what's the bottom line? When Caitlyn Clark's signature shoe finally drops, will it live up to all the hype? Can it be the game-changing moment that so many are hoping for? Or is this all just a lot of noise over a sneaker?
Clark now has an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that will include her own signature shoe. Caitlyn Clark continues to set the bar when it comes to her impact on female athletics.
There's no doubt that the demand is there. Fans are eager to get their hands on any Clark-related merchandise, and her popularity is only growing. But the pressure is on Nike to get this right. If they can successfully launch Clark's shoe and navigate the potential backlash from Wilson's camp, they could set the standard for how to market rising stars in women's sports. But if they mishandle it, the consequences could be far-reaching, not just for Clark and Wilson, but for the entire WNBA. At the end of the day, this controversy is about much more than just a single athlete or a single shoe. It's a pivotal moment in the future of women's sports marketing. Caitlyn Clark and ncaaw Wilson symbolize two paths forward for women's basketball and how the WNBA could position itself in the global sports landscape. Clark represents the explosive new talent whose meteoric rise has captivated fans and drawn attention to women's sports in unprecedented ways. Wilson, on the other hand, is the established powerhouse who has earned her accolades through years of dedication, hard work, and consistent excellence. Both athletes are essential to the WNBA's growth, and both deserve their moment in the spotlight. Nike's decision on how and when to release Clark's shoe has broader implications for the league and the athletes who compete in it. If handled wisely, this moment could propel the WNBA into a new era of recognition, investment, and respect. If Nike fumbles the launch, however, it could unintentionally reinforce existing disparities in how athletes, especially black female athletes, are marketed and supported. It's not just about selling sneakers, it's about sending the right message to both current players and the next generation of athletes. Clark and Wilson are trailblazers, but how they are treated by brands like Nike will influence how young girls across the world see themselves in the sport. Do they see a future where their hard work and talent will be recognized, regardless of their marketability? Or will they learn that fame and hype sometimes overshadow long-term excellence? One thing is clear. This is just the beginning for both Caitlyn Clark and ncaaw Wilson. Their legacies, while intertwined in this debate, will continue to grow as they dominate on the court and shape the future of women's basketball. Whether it's Clark's breakout star power or Wilson's established reign as MVP, both are forces to be reckoned with. And Nike's decision, whatever it may be, will shape how the sports world views women athletes going forward. So what do you think? Should Nike have launched Caitlyn Clark's shoe already? Or does ncaaw Wilson deserve her shot first? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We'll keep bringing you updates on Caitlyn Clark, ncaaw Wilson, and the evolving landscape of women's basketball. Stay tuned for more.